We are live on YouTube and LinkedIn. And our topic today is new directions in the American energy sector. With us again, the famous and friend Ronald Stein. You can read his profile, is in the card. The idea today is to discuss a list of points. We have a list of points. Of course, Ronald can bring other points that he wants. No problem. Of course, it's welcome. So, Ronald, please, I would like to start directly with the first point, talking about hydrocarbon exploration on federal lands and private lands. What's the difference of private lands, federal lands? Which size each one has in general terms? Could you please explain to us?
Well, there's probably more federal lands out there, but the concern about limiting exploration is the government is picking winners and losers. There is a lot of exploration available because of the natural resources are located wherever they are. I mean, you're not, the Earth's 4 billion years old and it's got a lot of natural resources. And a lot of that land is federal land. And when the government says, well, we're not going to do any exploration for it, well, they're picking winners and losers. If you're not going to explore for it, well, how are you going to serve the billions of people on this planet? And so it's, and on private lands, the state gets involved probably more on the private land situation, cities and counties. But, everything is really driven by supply and demand. If there's no demand for this, then you're not going to explore for it.
But federal land is more related to both coast, Pacific and Atlantic, offshore drilling or land only?
There's right offshore. There's a lot. Certain. I'm not sure what the mileage is, but that's federal land. But there's a lot of natural resources offshore. There's a lot of empty land here in the United States, and a lot of it is federal land, and some of the natural resources are underneath that land. And so, it's just government just picking winners and losers. And the thing I find interesting, Armando, is the whole green movement is only by the wealthy countries. And you take the wealthy countries of America, UK, Germany, Australia, et cetera, they represent maybe, 1 billion people, but this planet has 8 billion people. And 80% of the people on this planet are living on less than $10 a day.
Yeah.
And so that's more than 6 billion people that can't afford any of these picking winners and losers.
Yeah.
Because they can't subsidize themselves out of a paper bag. But the wealthy countries, they can subsidize anything. So they subsidize wind and solar for electricity. But the irony of the whole thing is they subsidize wind and solar for electricity, and they want to stop oil production. But they're oblivious to the fact that electricity came after oil, because all the ways to generate electricity, you got coal, natural gas, hydro, nuclear, wind, and solar, all the ways to generate electricity, all the components, the computers, the wires, the insulation, is made from oil. So if you get rid of oil, you get rid of electricity.
Let me remark that we lost all comments when we started the live stream here. Okay. And I saw before we started that there were some comments. Please, people that are sending comments, if you could send again, because we lost everyone. Ronald, but to start exploration and put in production a system of petroleum, oil production, it takes 5-7 years, depends on the type of oil reserves and reservoir. And so there is no time enough, because the mandate is only 4 years for each president. So I mean, if Democrats come again, so they can move back everything that is decided now.
Right. It is kind of crazy. But again, this idea of like Trump wants to drill baby, drill baby. Well, the oil companies aren't going to drill unless there's a demand. You remember, crude oil is useless. It's black tar,
Yeah.
and no one uses crude oil. But when you can throw it through a refinery and they beat it and they heat it and they crack it and do all these crazy things to it, you get all these oil derivatives that makes all the products in our daily lives to satisfy our materialistic society. If that demand is under control, they don't have to drill. And, we've had decades where they've been pretty much relying on a lot of imported oil. And if that's meeting their needs, they may not want to, shift and just keep on. Again, it's going to be supply and demand. If there's a demand for more oil than they've got, then they're going to basically find a way to go for it. And that might be exploration.
Yeah, no, perfect. It's very clear for our exploration. The second point, Ronald Stein, nuclear generated electricity, because nuclear only generates electricity, it's not more than that. So is it a great potential yet? But it takes 10 years to construct a nuclear power plant. So what's the equation that can solve nuclear?
Yeah, nuclear is I think is going to be phenomenal, because nuclear, there's so many great things about it. First of all, here in the United States, we've proven for 70 years the safety track record. The Navy, they've got 80 different vessels, submarines and aircraft carriers that have been operating under nuclear, very safe. All the nuclear generation is doing exactly what the greenies want: zero emission generated electricity. The other great thing is it requires the least amount of resources from planet Earth to make electricity. And currently, the water-cooled reactors are generating so-called nuclear waste, but it's slightly used nuclear waste because they've only used, I think, 3% of the electricity available. So we can recycle it into fast reactors, and there's 97% of its electricity still available. So you almost have unlimited free electricity. It's emission-free electricity. You're not extracting any resources out of planet Earth. And so I think it's phenomenal. I mean, France has been doing it for, forever. And China and Russia are building a lot of nuclear power plants. And I'm hoping that the United States will get back on the train and, take the leadership back that we once had and develop a lot more nuclear. And nuclear, especially with small modular reactors, the technology, you can put a small modular reactor, like a diesel generator, into a small area and serve, 50,000 people, 100,000 people, maybe billions.
But you see that is there enough time to fit the construction time for nuclear power plant and the energy demand that's increasing a lot very fast?
Definitely yes, because we're basically spinning our wheels trying to generate electricity out of wind turbines and solar panels, because it's electricity that's really not useful for artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence needs continuous electricity. That's exactly what wind can't provide and solar can't provide. And so, the amount of years and trillions of dollars we've been spending to build wind and solar is a backup to the electricity we're getting. We can basically devote more time and effort. And, electricity demands they're not going to grow that fast. The trend is up, but I think nuclear is going to be a blessing for the world.
Yeah, and while we do not have nuclear, we can put natural gas that we have a big reserve to
exactly. And coal-fired power plants, people don't want them, but you can control the emissions much better than they did 50 years ago. And the interesting thing too is that the coal-fired power plants are being built all over the world. I mean, China's building like one a week. and they don't have the same emission controls we have. The wealthy countries have a lot of emission controls. So if you're going to build a coal-fired power plant, you want to build it in a place that has a lot of controls, and that's in the wealthy countries.
Good point. Let's give time to our friends from the audience. Jorge Oliveira. Good evening, Jorge. Thank you for coming. He's in Portugal, and he sent several comments. Oh yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Davos Trump. I would like to comment on the question from the CEO of Total Energies. I didn't see this comment. Maybe the following. Okay. Is the U.S. increased natural gas production wanted to have inflationary impact on the price of natural gas in the U.S.? So you see this that price of natural gas can increase, or what's your vision?
It's going to be driven by supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a demand for it, the price will go up. But yeah, everything is really by supply and demand. We're not going to develop natural gas if it's not needed, and it's going to be driven by supply and demand.
And the production capacity of production of natural gas is fantastic in the United States because shale gas and reserves
Exactly.
are big. Yeah.
Fracking has discovered a lot more natural gas.
Oklahoma, Texas. Another point from George Trump: if there is an agreement with the EU, I will guarantee the supply of natural gas to Europe. Trump is guaranteeing supply of natural gas to Europe. Do you see that's
He's negotiating with Putin on the war in Ukraine.
Okay, he's calling in Portuguese some other friends from e-riskers that are a group that we have in Brazil, very strong one. And Eduardo Francis here with us too. Thank you, Eduardo, for coming. And SRB. Oh, how long SRB? Do you think with Trump executive order declaring an energy emergency that the NRC regulations can be reformed to streamline building nuclear power plants?
He's exactly right on that, because the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has probably been the main obstacle of developing nuclear. It was Rickover that got nuclear into the Navy, but the NRC is pretty much, I think, done a great job of stymieing creativity to develop nuclear. And so they pretty much have been the bottleneck, because creative people can come up with different ways to generate nuclear technology, but it has to go through the NRC, and they've been the roadblock. So yeah, the NRC is going to be under a lot of pressure because, like I said, the world is going nuclear. Russia and China are building I think 40 to 50 nuclear power plants. Italy just announced they revoked.
Germany need to rethink.
Now they're going to go back to nuclear. So, yeah, the United States used to be the leader, and I think there'd be a lot of pressure on the NRC to.
But not the leader now. It's a second or third position in the United States for nuclear at this time. So must reconsider and reinvest the process.
Most of the nuclear power plants are not in the United States, and so no, we have to regain the domination that we used to have. And there's a lot of technical, solid people that can do this and go through the permitting process to get it started and then under construction. But no, I think nuclear it provides answers to everything that the green energy movement wants to go. You want continuous electricity, you want emissions-free electricity, and best of all, you use the least amount of resources out of planet Earth. Planet Earth's been here for 4 billion years. We're extracting oil, we're extracting coal, lithium, cobalt. We're not replenishing it, and we're going to run out at some time. Is it 50 years, 100 years, 500,000 years? You and I aren't going to be here then, but planet Earth is going to be here with or without humans. And so we just got to extract as least amount out of planet Earth as possible. And I think nuclear generated electricity would solve a big chunk of that problem.
Yeah. What comes after the ESG? And explain, please, the Net Zero Banking Alliance that you mentioned for me last day.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, the environmental, social, and governance, ESG, and the Net Zero Banking Alliance. Again, the government has basically given them enough ammunition. They can pick winners and losers. They're only going to fund, projects that are net zero. They're going to fund the wind turbines. They're going to fund the solar panel. And they, like I say, picking the winners and losers. The thing is, that's only the wealthy countries. They're forgetting about the 6 billion people on the rest of the earth that, they can't subsidize themselves out of a paper bag. And the cost of electricity is going up, the cost of fuel is going up. And the people that are, the 6 billion people, the Industrial Revolution is getting further and further away from them every joining.
Yeah, but Ronald, the ESG concepts are not bad. It's something useful for the society, no?
Right, but it's a basis of loaning money. And, again, you're looking at zero emissions. Well, they have a lot of emissions in these developing countries, but they don't have any need for projects. They can't afford any projects. So ESG doesn't even apply to them. It's only applying to the wealthy countries. And it's, like I said, we're trying to clean our house, but our neighbors are out of control on emissions. These people are burning cow dung for heat, and we're just oblivious to that.
And that's the reason that Trump is leaving the Paris Accord agreement.
Exactly, because the Paris Agreement was only made up of the wealthy countries. Like I said, we can afford to subsidize, wind turbine, that type of thing. And, I live here in California, and I see the same thing. We're a wealthy state, and we have these idealistic ways to clean up our air, but the emissions outside the borders of California is something that California Governor Newsom doesn't understand. So it's the same type thing. If you can control the emissions within the United States, but the poorer countries, we can't clean up the world by ourselves. We need all 8 billion people to participate. And I think the trillions of dollars we've been used to subsidize intermittent electricity from wind and solar would be better for humanity if we tried to get these 6 billion people out of poverty and get them clean water and sanitation.
Yeah, but my point is the following. Leaving a Paris Agreement at this time, with Trump entering in the power for 4 years, and 4 years, imagine that Democrats come back, and they will be back to the Paris Agreement. Is it feasible? Is it good for the country and for the system?
I think, Trump will be here for 4 years, but I think the reality is people are going to see what, I've been writing about this, for almost 10 years. Myself and hundreds of people like me have been writing about energy literacy. And I think we now have a leader in the White House. Some of his ideas are kind of goofy, but he does have some energy literacy. And he's bringing reality to the fact that we've been going the wrong direction. I mean, the world can't follow the direction we've been setting a tone to. And I think we can provide electricity, and we got to focus on conservation, efficiencies, and continually improve those, because the Earth's resources, they're limited, and you can't keep sucking them out of the Earth and not replenishing them. And I think being a little bit more energy literate is going to be just grow within the community and within the industrial businesses. And I think it's going to have a lot of momentum in the years ahead. And no, if a Democrat, comes in as president in 4 years from now, you're not going to slow that down. I think even the Democrats will learn.
Very good. Okay. Ronald, end of subsidies and mandates for renewable electricity. Renewable electricity, you mean solar and wind only, or you see hydro in this group too?
No. Solar and wind is the primary recipient of these trillions of dollars of subsidies. And again, they're picking winners and losers. And the confusion, and I think a lot of what Trump is doing is, we talked about this before, wind and solar only generate electricity. They can make nothing for society. And it all gets down to the basis that the people setting these policies and setting the mandates and the subsidies do not comprehend that electricity came after oil, because everything that needs, all the ways to generate electricity, the 6 ways we talked about, all the components, the computers, wires, insulation, the air conditioning, the furniture, it's all made from oil derivatives that make all the products, because we're a materialistic society. And the same thing, everything that needs electricity, the iPhone, the iPads, the computers, the defibrillators, it's all made from the components made from oil. So you get rid of oil, you don't only get rid of electricity, you get rid of all the products that need electricity. Because a wind turbine can't make an iPad.
Yeah, but your point to the renewable weakness, let's see, is focused on the intermittence or other points that you see, efficiency, intensity?
Well, without a doubt. I mean, yeah, you're right. Wind turbines don't work most of the time. Solar panels don't work most of the time. But my concern is we have mandated we're going to generate electricity that way. And we're providing trillions of dollars, again, just from the wealthy countries, to subsidize that. But the only way to get electricity, to run the airports, to run the hospitals, to run artificial intelligence, is from continuous electricity, which wind and solar cannot provide. So you still have dependency on your electrical generation from coal and natural gas and hydro and nuclear. And wind and solar, adds to the grid, but just for certain hours of the day.
And do you really believe that the Trump can stop the subsidies for renewables? Is simple, easy, feasible? Because there is a supply chain and let's see a way to live with this investments.
I think he's making a major impact to put a stop to the subsidies and stop to the mandates, because the same thing applies to EVs. EVs, they're 100% made with oil. The tires, the wires, the computers, the insulation. EVs are like the iPads and the iPhones. They're made with oil products, and they need electricity to run. But if you want to get rid of oil, well, you're going to get rid of electricity. So if you get rid of electricity, how are you going to charge your EV? How are you going to charge your iPhone? How are you going to charge your iPad?
Because China is still doing a big subsidies to renewables. We stay doing this.
I think that's a political move.
Yeah. Because Russia,
most of the electricity comes from coal-fired power plants.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, China is 40%, or I'm not sure about this number,
right,
but
right.
A huge number. Germany is still using coal. And
yes.
Yeah.
But I think what Trump is going to be doing, he's going to, like I say, he's basically implementing everything that I've been writing about, myself and hundreds of people like me, that this net zero movement is just financially destructive. I mean, I'm just here in California, because California, we're one of the leaders in the United States. And so we have the highest cost of electricity in the state, highest cost of electricity in the country, highest cost of fuel in the country. And it's extremely inflationary, and it's just driving people, to extinction.
And Ronald, and about the point number six, the EVs subsidies and mandates, is it in parallel with renewables, or is it different? The same situation?
Same thing. It's the same thing. You're picking winners and losers. EVs, The profile of an EV owner is highly educated, high income, multi-car family, and low mileage requirements. Now, the elites have bought them. The elites will continue to buy them. But Armando, we're running out of elites. Now we're getting down to the common folk. And the common folk need a workhorse vehicle. I've got a lot of neighbors that most of them have an EV that they never use. It's always parked in the garage. In fact,
Yeah.
and like if you have a low mileage requirement, I guess an EV, might suit your need, but you have to be able to afford it, and most people can't.
But what about Elon Musk? Because Tesla, he is owner of Tesla, and
Right.
he will lose these subsidies for Tesla EVs.
Well, in that case, since Elon Musk has more money than God,
$400 billion. Oh my God!
that's with a B. So he can basically walk away, and he's still the richest man in the world. So
Yeah.
no, it's not going to hurt Elon Musk.
Yeah. Before we go to our we have no. Before we go to the conclusions about this topic for today, let me share with you, Ronald. Trump bans new offshore wind leasing, increasing uncertainty around in-sea projects. What does it mean exactly? He stops this investments in offshore wind.
He's stopping the permitting process, and with this ESG and net zero operations, going backwards. Yeah, it's the subsidizing. We're spending trillions of dollars to basically build electricity. And not only do you have to, generate electricity offshore, then you got to build the transmission lines to bring it back where the people are, which is onshore. And again, that only affects, like in the United States, East and the West Coast. If you're in Nebraska, offshore wind doesn't help you.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be generated pretty close to the users. And so he's putting a stop to that, stopping the subsidies and trying to stop the mandates. And it's getting down to, realistic. If everybody wants, zero emission electricity. Well, if you want zero emission electricity, the track record, we got a 70-year safety track record. Just follow it. I mean, the Navy has been doing it, and I'm not sure why we can't do it onshore. They're doing it offshore. The submarines and aircraft carriers are offshore, But no, I like I said, we haven't lost any Navy folks that I know of.
Yeah. We have a comment from SRB. Trump's campaign slogan has been drill, baby, drill, but this seems a bit simplistic. The US needs a regulatory environment where we can build new refineries.
Exactly, right. The drill, baby, it's not going to happen. It's only going to happen if there's a big demand. And if there's a big demand, then there might be a need for another refinery. But to build a refinery, you're going to have to go through the regulatory. You're not going to just build it. You have to meet the environmental regulations to build it. But I see if we can focus on conservation and efficiencies, the existing refineries will get us a lot forward. Because if we can basically live our lifestyle without extracting resources out of planet Earth and without wasting all that energy, then we can survive like the animals. The animals don't use any resources from the planet Earth. And I think we have to get down to, I wouldn't say a simplistic life, a more efficient life.
Yeah, efficient life, yes.
Yes.
Good expression. Good title for a podcast.
Next title.
And George Oliveira saying that Davos, Trump betting on a continuous supply of electricity to AI companies using coal as a backup in case of failure of other energy source, maybe a renewable source.
Well, continuous supply of electricity right now is coal, natural gas, and nuclear. The failure of other energy sources, I wouldn't say failure, it's basically the inability of wind and solar to generate continuous electricity. You can't run your operating rooms on intermittent electricity, and you're not going to run AI on intermittent electricity. So it's just, we're basically subsidizing the most inefficient way to generate electricity. It's very costly, and like I say, it doesn't work most of the time. The wind doesn't blow most of the time. You know, between Southern California and Palm Springs, you can drive, you know, from west to east, and you can see all these wind turbines, most of which are not operating. No, we
Broken.
want continuous electricity, and wind and solar is just intermittent electricity. And, you know, they say, well, we'll have batteries to back it up. But batteries extract a lot of resources out of planet Earth to have that kind of storage.
Intense
And
money.
yeah, so no, we basically got to come up with ways to leave the resources in this 4 billion-year-old planet and trying to develop our lifestyle efficiently with the use of the least amount of those resources.
What?
Because, like I say, you know, our kids, our grandkids, they're not going to see these resources disappear. But
Yeah.
you know, who knows? 500,000 years out, it's amazing. So, like I said, we just can't keep extracting all this stuff. It's not going to happen.
Ronald, going to the conclusions, please,
Yes.
some considerations about new direction in the American energy sector. Do you believe that's totally right, or you could modify some points that Trump is bringing? What's your vision about this package?
No, you're going to see a lot more nuclear generated electricity. It's happening around the world, and hopefully the NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, will, quote, get out of the way and let, you know, ingenuity, you know, come up with the ways to do this. And yeah, I think electricity for all, inexpensive electricity. And if we can get this inexpensive electricity, that is going to benefit the 6 billion people right now that don't have electricity. And so I'm more concerned that there's so many people on this planet that have nothing. And the wealthy countries have been setting the tone and picking the winners and picking the losers. And the people that have been losing are the 6 billion people who are living on less than $10 a day. They don't have hospitals. They don't have airports.
Okay. Thank you, George Oliveira, for coming. Who else? Eduardo França, thank you, SRB, and all other people that I do not know exactly who are them yet, but in the next time we'll study a little bit more who are with us today. Thank you, Ronald Stein. It was a great pleasure having you here today.
Thank you, Armando.
Let's go to the next podcast.
Fantastic.
Good day for you.
Okay.